Welcome to the Our Ability Podcast. I am your host, John Robinson. We are continuing our series on disability recruitment and disability accessibility in 2024. Today, we are joined by Linda Zhao, Talent Acquisition Manager and Enabling Functions for Pfizer in North America. Welcome, Linda. It's great to have you. If you could do me a favor and tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now at Pfizer.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me here. So my name is Linda Zhao, and I'm currently working as a manager candidate experience. Also, I guess commonly known as talent acquisition for Pfizer, enabling functions for North America, which within Pfizer consists of global business services, people experience, also known as HR, digital and legal compliance. My role is essentially being a talent advisor to the business, leading and managing the recruitment strategy, and pretty much the entire recruitment lifecycle from start to finish. I'm also the digital recruitment lead, so they're pretty much the primary, client group that I support. I have been with Pfizer for about 4 years now. I am based in New York City. Um, and then full disclosure, you probably can tell from this platform since we're virtual here. But I also identify as someone with a physical disability, being a wheelchair user since age 4, pretty much my entire life. So for me, working in talent acquisition and living with disability, disability inclusion is not just uh, professionally motivated, but it's also very personal to me. So
It does become personal to all of us who are disabled.
yeah,
So thank you,
yeah.
Linda, for sharing. And I don't out anybody necessarily, but I appreciate very much you doing that. So
Hmm.
uh, thank
Of
you.
course.
We at Our Ability have had a long-term relationship with Pfizer, and we're awfully proud of that. And I think we understand Pfizer, and you've shared your personal experience with Pfizer. But can you give me a sort of a top-down view of what Pfizer's vision is in recruiting candidates of diversity,
Hmm.
and then drill down a little bit into disability, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to do that. But I think before we dive into that, it's probably good to share what really drives the work we do every day, because kind of ties back to, what we're looking for in candidates as well. Um, so, and just to give you some context here, as one of the world's leading pharmaceutical companies, we are driven to ultimately discover the cure that can significantly improve the lives of everyone everywhere. So at the core of Pfizer, every person matters. And absolutely, that includes the patient that we serve. And it is this belief that really motivates Pfizer to stay true to its purpose, which is, breakthroughs that have a new ambition as a company, which is to change, billion lives a year by ensuring, we are delivering transformative breakthroughs that are accessible to all, and really disrupting healthcare delivery with novel, innovative solutions. So to really fully realize Pfizer's purpose, we are presented by what we call, 4 core values. So these values are, courage, excellence, equity, and joy, and that essentially really defines our, company and our culture. So just wanted to kind of go into, what these 4 values, really mean to us is that, for the value of courage, we believe that breakthroughs start by really challenging convention, right? Especially in the face of uncertainty or adversity. And this happens when we think really big, speak up, and being really decisive. And then in relates to excellence, we can only change patients' lives when we perform at our best together. And this happens when we focus on what really matters, agree to who does what, and really measure our outcomes. And then the core value for equity means that, we believe that every person deserves to be heard, and cared for and to be seen. So this happens when we are inclusive, act with integrity, and induce healthcare disparity. And lastly, joy, our last core value, we give ourselves to our work, but it also gives to us. So we find joy when we take pride, recognize one another, and really have fun doing what we love. Um, so, and kind of going back to your question in terms of recruiting for, candidates with diversity, more specifically for, individuals with disabilities. Back in July of Pfizer did formed and launch its first disability board of directors that will really, focus on driving the development achievement of enterprise strategy that really improve colleague awareness of the disability inclusion gap. So with that, we set and a really ambitious 2025 employment goals at an enterprise level, really to help closing the inclusion gap. um, and so and then there was also that really big focus on creating an environment that ensures inclusion and development career success for all colleagues, right? Including colleagues with disabilities, caregivers, and also allies. Um, so at a high level, when we talk about, the vision we have as the board of directors, we are looking at unleashing the abilities of those with disabilities by eliminating barriers, providing opportunities, and changing lives. And then when we really go into the strategy for the disability board of directors, ultimately we are trying to improve the quality awareness of the disability inclusion gap. So that awareness piece is, very critical. And then what we also did is, we set and meet, hope to set and meet a very ambitious 2025 employment goals to contribute to closing the inclusion gap. And then again, going back to creating a fully inclusive environment for all of the colleagues with different abilities.
Linda,
So, yep.
I want to pause you right there because you hit on something with the board. How is that? I was going to ask you about success stories, but that's a huge success story. How
Mhm.
is that received throughout the company? How has the company embraced a disability board?
Yeah, yeah. So this was completely new to us. This is definitely, we haven't done this before. And we built this from scratch, right? And having a executive sponsor to kind of move this whole process alone, it's very exciting, for the entire company, getting that visibility. So we had to build a board, and then within, the board of directors, we broke it down to 4 different work streams. And then within these work streams, we pretty much aligned, leaders from different parts of the organization, um, kind of leading, their respective work streams. So, and within each work stream, there's just so much work, responsibilities, and then everyone kind of stepped in. Because this is really a different type of work outside of their normal scope of responsibilities. And, very exciting because disability as a topic is very important to the company. But we never had like a formal board of directors or any type of governance there. So now with the board of directors, we have something very structured, very formal within the company to to kind of, really focus on driving the strategy. Um, and then with the different work streams, that can really move the work as we move forward. Yeah.
Does that help you in recruiting? I mean, it seems to me as we at our ability talk to candidates about Pfizer, to know that about the disability board is a great recruiting tool. Does that
Yeah.
how else do you let people know that you've done that? Because as a person with a disability, and I think you know this too, you want
Mhm.
to work where you see yourself, right? Where other people with disabilities are. At least I feel that way. Does
Yeah.
that help you in your recruiting?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have talent advisors, like myself, who are part of the board of directors, and some of them are part of the different work streams, right? So really thinking, tying back to the enterprise level, talent acquisition strategy, and then collaborating with the board of directors on, some of their initiatives, right? So it's a highly collaborative, kind of like a work group here that we have, that consists of, pretty much all of the leaders from different parts of the organization, as well as individuals like myself who are responsible for the actual recruitment process, and then we have a bunch of hiring managers who are also part of the work stream. So it really helped, kind of deliver on you know the previous strategy that I mentioned. Yeah.
That's fantastic. You know, you talk
Yeah.
about courage, equity,
Hmm.
integrity, and
Yeah.
joy. You know, two things. It takes courage in corporate America anyway to have a board of directors with disabilities. So I applaud all of you on that. And I could
Mm.
see the joy in your face when you mentioned it. That the biggest smile was when you mentioned that there's a board. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic. I applaud you for that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
how
Yeah.
how how diverse is disability within Pfizer? I mean, I
Mhm.
certainly know a few of you with different disabilities, but how diverse is disability within the company?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are it it's definitely very diverse. When I say, every now and then, when we look at colleagues from, different parts of the business, you know, it, there is, well, let me go back. So very recently, we were kind of measuring kind of the going back to disclosing your disability, right? So I know that's sometimes a challenge, getting people to actually disclose their own disabilities, and it takes a lot of courage. I do agree with that, but at an enterprise level, we started, I believe was last year. And initially we started with 3%. Um, when we talk about 3%, it might not seem to be a lot, but when you have, over like 80 plus thousand employees, that is quite significant. But then very recently, we try to encourage individuals to disclose their own disabilities, self ID campaign, part of our DEI initiatives, and with all of that effort, that percentage went up to 7%. So that is, we were definitely surprised with that outcome, and it just goes to show, right? Individuals uh, from all different parts of the business, a lot of them might have invisible disability. Um, that you might not know about. So individuals who identify as neurodiverse, we have colleagues, with whether it's physical disability, like myself, right? I'm a wheelchair user, so you can pretty much, see that. And then, we have colleagues who have vision impairment, whether they're born with this disability or they have it later on in life, um, due to a medical condition. And colleagues who, pretty much have different medical conditions, right? And they identify someone with disability because of that. Different stages of their life, if something happens, and then um, and then they later have this disability, right? Um so when we did think about it, it's just very diverse, for sure. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Um, to hear the number go from 3 to 7%, congratulations. That
Yeah,
is great because you and I both know there's more people with disabilities than
for sure.
self-disclose. And
Yes.
but to get 7%, that probably means you have 14%. And that
Yeah.
but that's the
Yeah.
goal. That's why the US government wanted Section 503, and they put some numbers to it in 2013. So good for Pfizer. That is wonderful.
Hmm.
Just, we've heard Pfizer's name, obviously, in the COVID era with the
Hmm.
vaccine, but I think people don't understand how big. You mentioned 80,000 plus employees. Just how big worldwide is Pfizer?
Yeah, great question. So so basically we have, 36 manufacturing sites worldwide. And then we, sell products in more than 185 countries, right? With 90 projects in the pipeline as of August of this year. And then we have, 5 products with sales greater than 1 billion as of May of this year. And like I mentioned, we have approximately, 80 plus thousand, 80,000 plus colleagues around the world. And then, our largest functional group would be the biopharma group, right? Followed by Pfizer on global supply, worldwide research and development. So, um, and really, the R&D group is at the heart of fulfilling Pfizer's purpose, right? Because it's ultimately about the patients, right? At the end of the day. And then there's different therapeutic areas that we focus on. For example, there's oncology, internal medicine, vaccines, information, immunology, and rare disease, right? So, yeah, at a high level, we have operations around the world.
That's great. Linda, I appreciate your time here today, and it's been, again, we've appreciated the relationship with Pfizer, with our ability and what we do and helping people find jobs, and it's great to hear what others are doing. Just
Mhm.
finally, if you don't mind, what
Sure.
what do you hope your legacy is with Pfizer? Look 5 years down the road. What do you hope it is with Pfizer and the impact that you're making?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So, I'm definitely very proud of the work we have done, in the disability inclusion space. But there's always more work to be done, right? So, in 5 years, I hope we already achieved or overachieve our employment goals, like I mentioned before, for the board of directors, and really to help, contribute to closing the inclusion gap. I think beyond hiring more individuals with disabilities, it's definitely equally important, right, to have a fully inclusive work environment. So colleagues with disabilities have equal access to development opportunities to ensure, their career success. So I think in order for this happen, we would, first have to identify, eliminate barriers to success. And this is the area that we have definitely made quite a few breakthroughs by leveraging the power of technology. and we'll continue to do so. So after 5 years, hopefully we have more breakthrough and novel solutions in that space. But lastly, through the work of disability colleague resource groups, partnerships with um, our abilities and other disability partnerships that Pfizer have and with our allies. I hope we can continue to spread disability awareness and really motivate change, right? At the end of the day, storytelling can be so powerful. So, I'm hoping to continue to tell my story as well.
Well, that you have, and we appreciate it. Linda Zhao, uh, talent acquisition manager and enabling functions at Pfizer. We thank you for your time. It is it's great. It's great to hear from other people with disabilities. It's also great to hear from corporate America on and the interest in disability inclusion. So thank you very much.